My guy.
One without knowing that whales possess a 42-inch anus.
Well, damn. For my brothers and sisters, man. Whoa. Wrong time to go underneath the blanket one night when he farted and she passed away. If you do not believe me, go and search it up.
Snack consumption. Nightmare in Elm Street.
Where is she finding all of this? What it do, what it do, what it do, my good people. Happy Easter to y'all. So, TikTok pull up on you boy with some facts this time. I don't know what's in it, but we gonna open it up and see what we got. And I also want to give a shout out to Landa Dutcher 6896. I hope I got that right. I really appreciate the comment, and to the rest of y'all, my subscribers, man. Y'all keep your boy going. And if y'all want to get shout out in the next video, just drop a comment down below. I'll pick you right back up. All right, so let's get into this.
The first place in America to launch the rocket that sent humans to the moon.
Which are
Fun facts about the U.S. states. First, Alaska is the largest state, yet it has the lowest population density. In contrast, Rhode Island is the smallest by area, but has the longest official name. Alabama was the first place in America to launch the rocket that sent humans to the moon. On scorching days in Arizona, fry an egg right on the pavement. Moving on to Arkansas, this is the only state in the U.S. where you are allowed to dig for diamonds and take them home. If California were a country, it would have the 5th largest economy in the world. Colorado enjoys an average of 300 days of sunshine each year. Connecticut is where the hamburger was invented. Delaware was the first state to ratify the U.S. Constitution, 1987. Florida experiences more hurricanes than any other state. Speaking of Georgia, it is also the birthplace of Coca-Cola. Hawaii is the only all-island state and has the highest cost of living. Idaho grows more than 1/3 of America's potatoes. Illinois is associated with both Abraham Lincoln. Indiana is known as the basketball state. In Iowa, there are more pigs than people. Kansas is the geographic center of the continental United States. Kentucky is the birthplace of KFC fried chicken. Louisiana is famous for New Orleans, the birthplace of jazz. Maine is America's lobster capital. Maryland is where the U.S. national anthem was first sung. Massachusetts is home to Harvard, the world-renowned university, and the oldest in the country. Michigan has more shoreline along the Great Lakes than California and Florida combined. Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes. Mississippi is the birthplace of blues music. Missouri is the home of Budweiser beer. In some parts of Montana, cows outnumber people 2 to 1. Each year, thousands of migrating cranes arrive in Nebraska. In Nevada, 80% of the land belongs to the federal government. New Mexico is where the first atomic bomb was tested. New Hampshire is the first state to hold a presidential primary. In New Jersey, Edison's first light bulb shone. New York has the busiest intersection in the world. North Carolina is where the world's first flight took place. Ohio, known as the mother of presidents. In Oklahoma, people are more accustomed to tornado sirens than birdsong. Oregon is the only state where self-service gas pumping is prohibited. Pennsylvania is the chocolate capital of America. South Carolina is where the Civil War began. South Dakota is home to Mount Rushmore. Tennessee is the birthplace of country music and the heart of rock and roll. Texas is a paradise of BBQ and cowboy culture. Utah is the center of the Mormon faith. Washington is the birthplace of Starbucks and Microsoft. Virginia is the cradle of American history. West Virginia is the only state created by splitting off from another. Fun.
Jesus. I never knew that there were so many things created out of the United States. Mind you, I don't live over there. I live in Canada. But wow, that's some real interesting stuff. I bet there's some stuff there that y'all never knew.
Facts about the U.S.
You probably know that the Earth is divided into 24 time zones, but why do they look so weird? You see, time starts at the prime meridian, Greenwich, or 0 UTC, Coordinated Universal Time. All zones east of Greenwich have positive offsets, while those to the west have negative offsets. So, when you were in Los Angeles, you were in the UTC -8 time zone. But if the time zones remained perfectly straight, there would be a number of inconveniences. For example, in Phoenix, one part of the city would be in UTC -7 and another in -8, creating a 1-hour difference and significant confusion. For this reason, it was decided to change the time zone boundaries based on the borders of countries and regions. The country with the largest number of time zones is France, thanks to
Time zones never really made any sort of sense to me. Because all I know is night and day. Right? But I guess we use those time zones to, for farming, cultivating, doing different types of stuff at a certain time in the day. So it does make sense why we use time. But at the same time, it is so confusing when you're in one place and it's this time in this place and this time in that place. It's the one thing that does get me upset though is daylight saving time. Daylight saving time. I don't know why they do it, but
its numerous overseas departments, it covers 12 time zones. At the same time, a giant like China technically covers 5 time zones, but decided to use only one for the whole country. As a result, western cities like Kashgar are still dark at 10 a.m.
Here are some facts that'll make you think, why do you know that? This fact is actually one of my favorites because it never fails to freak people out. The blue whale can produce 400 gallons of baby maker, but only 10% of it makes it to the female. 360 gallons, which is like 9 bathtubs worth, gets unloaded into the ocean. See, now I have to ask, why do we know this? How do we know this?
Why would we even try to research that?
Like, did someone get paid to eyeball it from a respectful distance? Or did someone actually have to get lost in a Big Mac sauce in the name of science? 4 years of marine biology and that's what it amounts to. Couldn't be me. I would also like to personally flip off the entire internet for this last fact. Because apparently a blue whale's backdoor fudge factory can stretch to 3.5 feet. 3.5 feet. You know the average lifespan of an American is 78 years? That's about 2,460,000,000 seconds, and I could have lived through every single one without knowing that whales possess a 42-inch anus.
Well, damn. Sometimes you really have to wonder who comes up with these studies, who comes up with these researches to know that the average life is of an American 78 years old, bro. I don't know what y'all got going on over there, man, but
I shouldn't know that whales have a 42-inch anus. I also shouldn't know that a blue whale's fart bubble can hold an entire horse, but you know what? I know it, you know it, and your friends are going to know it because you're going to share this video. I'm not suffering alone anymore. Here are some facts that'll make you think. Favorites because it never fails to...
Weird fact of the day. The idea that ghosts look like this, where they're kind of translucent and float, is extremely recent, and it came about for an extremely specific reason. And I think it's really fascinating because it gets to how human culture is formed. Now, almost every culture in history has ghosts, and they show up in a million different ways. In some cases, they come back and possess animals, or they possess people, or they show up and they can only be seen at night. But prior to the 19th century, they were never described as this. They either just looked like normal, solid people. In some stories, the ghosts would physically attack you, or they would open doors or break down doors. And while they had the ability to disappear or suddenly appear in a room, they were never described like this. Until this invention came along. Back in the early 1800s, before cinema, when people were extremely bored, they invented this device which could project a still image onto a screen. And this gave rise to horror shows called phantasmagoria, where the audience would gather in a darkened room and a screen would be lowered and they would project onto the screen skeletons and monsters and all sorts of other scary things. But because of the technical limitations of the technology, they could only be portrayed as floating. They couldn't walk around the floor. And because of the screen and the projector, they were always translucent. And according to this book by Susan Owens, The Ghost, A Cultural History, it was only after those shows became popular that you started to see the translucent ghost turn up in stories. This was also around the time of the dawn of photography, and then back then, because of the technology, you used to have to sit perfectly still for a very long time for it to develop properly on the film. This is why people rarely smiled in those photos. You couldn't hold a smile for several minutes. If you got up early or if you moved, it would accidentally create this ghostly image, and it did not take long for photographers to start selling ghost captured on film pictures. And from then on, when people claimed to see a ghost in their home, they would see this, the thing from the Phantasmagoria, the floating, translucent spirit. I feel like this is incredibly important to understand. Not only did media influence and totally alter our concept of what a human soul or spirit looked like, but a physical and technical limitation in that media did it. But
I'm just saying, ghosts are ghosts, no matter how you put it, if they are real, because I have never witnessed, and I'm not saying there's stories out there that are not true, but the way that this looks compared to the ghosts that I've seen from my childhood up until now, this one actually scared me, because from what I see on my analyzation, this ghost has more like of a glow. It doesn't look scary at all. Look, mind you though, if you're supposed to just walk in a random room and see that, or to have that randomly pop up, that could be frightening. But to witness something like that, for me, it doesn't even look that scary, to be honest.
100 years from now, people will probably still be seeing this kind of ghost because of it.
Here's 5 dark facts about slave ships that they didn't teach you in history class. Alright, number 1, they use something called the tight packing method to maximize profits. So the concept is pretty self-explanatory, but to give you an idea, let's say there was a ship that was built for 300 enslaved people. They would try to fit 600 into there. The idea is to maximize profits, but also to guarantee them a certain percentage that survived, because they know that the trip over is going to be so bad for the enslaved because of the conditions that an average between 10 to 15% would die, sometimes even 20%. So they would try to get more people in there, which would sometimes make the conditions worse, making more people die, but they just figured that they would just have more just in case. The conditions in the hold for the enslaved Africans were horrible. So they were lined up in rows, laying shoulder to shoulder with no room to move, and then they were separated by layers, like a grid would be above them for the next layer. And altogether, it was less room than a coffin. And because they couldn't move, they basically just had to go to the bathroom on top of themselves, and for the people above them, it would just go down onto the people below. So it'd be feces, urine, blood.
This is tough to hear. This is tough to hear. And I don't want to go off in certain verbal ways because YouTube, but for my brothers and sisters, man. Whoa. Wow.
Vomit all over the people and just the ship too. Not only was it disgusting and inhumane, but it was also very unsanitary, which led to a lot of disease, and it spread really quick because everyone was in close proximity. And the ventilation was basically non-existent, so people would suffocate to death as well. There was one British slave ship called Brooks that was legally allowed to carry 454 enslaved people, but their logs show that they carried over 600 on certain trips. Alright, number 2 is pretty morbid as well. So sharks would often follow slave ships across the Atlantic because the dead and the dying would often be thrown overboard. And researchers estimate that hundreds of thousands of enslaved Africans met this fate. And number 3, captains would sometimes drown their slaves in order to get insurance money. In 1781, a British slave ship named Zong intentionally threw 130 enslaved Africans overboard in order to get insurance money for lost cargo. So the way it worked back then is if you had an enslaved person on your ship and you needed to throw them overboard for a necessity, you could still claim that and get compensated by your insurance company as lost cargo. But if an enslaved person died on your ship from natural causes, that wouldn't be covered by your insurance and you wouldn't get money. So what the crew of the Zong did was said that they ran out of water and they needed to throw 130 enslaved overboard in order to save the rest of the crew. They could claim it as lost cargo, which is crazy. It ended up going to court, but the insurance company lost and ended up having to pay out. But it was later appealed, and then the judge actually overturned it, but no one was actually fined or jailed. Our number 4, oftentimes the captains would make the enslaved dance on deck as a form of exercise on long.
I understand what I'm hearing, but I can't fathom what I'm listening to. Like, I understand, like, I've seen us do things as human beings to each other that are so disgusting. But if I never understood before,
Journeys. This would help prevent muscle atrophy and they could get a better price for them at market. Not only was it humiliating, but it was also brutal because a lot of the times they would be whipping them while they dance. And if they like took a break or refused to dance or like passed out even from exhaustion, they would also get whipped. And crews oftentimes went to extreme measures in order to scare the enslaved in order to keep them from revolting or to punish them for revolting. That included torturing them in front of the others and also taking off their limbs one at a time. There was one successful revolt on a ship called the Amistad, I believe. But yeah, they were taken from Africa and taken over to Cuba, and they had to endure that trip, which was really bad, but they got sold in Cuba to a slave owner. And when the slave owner was putting them onto a new boat to take them to the plantation, they eventually took over that boat, killed everyone except for 2 people and made them take the ship back to Africa. But of course, those 2 shipmates did not do that, and they took them to America, where they ended up getting arrested. That started a huge court case, and the Queen of Spain even chimed in and wanted them executed because that's the ship that originally took them from Africa was from Spain. So America almost did it at first, but then they kept fighting and they ended up going against it and freeing them. So that was one of the first cases where they actually were freed and they made sure that they got back to Africa. And I could do a deep dive on that story specifically if you guys want. I have some gruesome facts about the Dark Ages coming out, and if you have a topic you want me to cover, definitely let me know. Here's
the things that I would have to say cannot make it on YouTube. So you that's watching this,
Learn your bum hole has taste buds, which is why spicy food burns on the way out. Figs aren't considered vegan because of the high number of dead wasps inside them. Tarantulas can swim in the water. When a woman is giving birth, her large intestines can slip out her bum hole. You'll spend about 5,000 hours of your life simply looking for misplaced items. CNN has a pre-recorded broadcast that they plan to air when the world is ending. Voice actor for Peter Pan was only 30 when he was found dead in an abandoned warehouse covered in beer bottles and religious pamphlets and was unidentified for days. Average pair of dirty underwear contains 1/10 of a gram of poop, and when you put it in the washing machine, it just slowly starts coating the inside of your washing machine. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're constantly swallowing snot, and by the end of the day, you've averaged about 1 or 2 cups of snot consumption. Nightmare on Elm Street.
where is she finding all of this? Keep going.
Is based on a true story. Chickens we consume are often so overfed that by the time they're killed, they can't stand because their legs can't hold up their body. It's a phenomenon called ballooning where thousands of spiders will fall from the sky. Things I wish I...
The internet, y'all. The internet. Never defeated. Never defeated.
Never learned your...
Interesting fact, your butthole has its own fingerprint, scientifically.
Croissants aren't actually friends.
Croissants are from Austria.
I actually learnt this fact the other day. Apparently, sometimes when camels die, they explode.
Humans glow in the dark, but because of our eyesight, we can't see it.
Dolphins sleep with one eye open.
Sharks have infinite teeth. Unlike humans with 2 sets of teeth, the milk teeth and the permanent teeth, sharks have like a conveyor belt of teeth that just keep replacing themselves every time it's damaged.
Animals that lay eggs don't have a belly button.
Octopuses have 3 hearts and 2 of them stop beating when they're swimming.
Did you know that we all spend on average a year of our lifetime on the toilet? And Liverpool are champions. You never walk alone.
There are 2 points in the south of Ireland called Hook Point and Crook Point. When Oliver Cromwell came to invade Ireland, he said, I will take this country by hook or by crook. That's where the saying comes from.
This is the horrific result of inbreeding. Born in 1661, King Charles II of Spain was the product of 200 years of incest that intended to strengthen the family line. He was breastfed until the age of 4 and never fully learned how to walk. Before reaching the age of 6, Charles miraculously survived a series of diseases, including chickenpox, measles, rubella, and smallpox. As an adult, he was completely illiterate and could barely chew or speak due to his deformed jaw and enlarged tongue. He was so ugly and disfigured that his own wife was terrified of him. Renowned historians Will and Ariel Durant vividly described him as short, lame, epileptic, senile, and completely bald before 35. Always on the verge of death, but completely baffling Christendom by continuing to live. His autopsy report revealed disturbing findings, stating that his heart was the size of a peppercorn, his lungs corroded, his intestines gangrenous and rotten. He had a single testicle black as coal, and his head was full of water.
That was a deep fact.
This is the
I don't know what's going on there. If y'all, anybody that's watching this and y'all know what's happening, drop it down there in the comments for me, please.
Sure about clocks? No. So when you look at a clock, it looks pretty normal. You never think anything of it. But what if I told you there's actually a really dark theory behind the idea of a clock? What? Right, and you go across the clock, across the way, you see like 11 and 1, it equals 12. 10 and 2 equals 12. 9 and 3 equals 12. 8 and 4 equals 12. 7 and 5 equals 12. And then 6 plus 6 equals 12. They all equal 12.
Wait, what does that mean though?
Well, also think about this. When you go diagonally and look at the numbers and you subtract it, like 12 minus 6 equals 6. 11 minus 5 equals 6. 10 minus 4 equals 6.
Wait, what is going on?
But wait, if you look at
Yeah, it is kind of weird, but I'm still trying to figure out what a theory is at.
this a different way too. If you look across, 12 plus 1 equals 13. 11 and 2 equals 13. 10 and 3 equals 13. 9 and 4 equals 13. It all equals 13.
So what's the theory?
You look at all the numbers, right? It's just weird how you go different formulations and they all equal the same.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of scary. I don't really want to get into
I mean, it is kind of scary how it is like that, but what if it's something that is constructed? It's not made of God, so most people are not confused by it, right? It's made by man. Time is literally made by man. So a theory behind a clock that which is something that is made up. I don't know if any one of y'all is get the theory out of what a clock is supposed to be or what a clock is. Let me know down there in the comments, right?
Exact thing that I saw, but it is weird how everything, equals the same. Comment if you guys know what that is.
Dude,
I don't know. I don't want to say.
That give me
ain't no theory there.
Chills just look.
Have you seen it?
No. Part 10. Your nose can remember 50,000 different smells. And women are better smellers than men. I wonder if you could smell bullshit. The world's youngest parents were 8 and 9. They could have been grandparents by 18. Maine is the only state with one syllable. Mississippi, Colorado, North Carolina, South Carolina. They just got lazy with Maine. The word okay, which stands for all correct or all correct, is the most frequently used word on the planet. The hottest temperature ever recorded was 136 degrees Fahrenheit. Can you imagine walking outside in that heat? Ladies, your lashes will melt right off. Only 1% of people can swing their foot clockwise while drawing the number 6. Ah!
I know y'all go definitely try that. I'm gonna try it.
I'm not in the 1%. Are you in the 1%? Make sure you heart this video and follow me for more.
This is the closest thing our planet has to an alien, and it's nuts. It's called Xenoturbella, a sea creature that is unlike anything else on Earth. Here's what I mean. First of all, it looks like a worm, but it's not a worm. In fact, according to science, it shouldn't even be alive. Why? Well, because it has no respiratory system for breathing, no circulatory system for blood flow, and no excretory system for removing waste. But it gets even crazier than that. Xenoturbella has no organs. None. It has one thing that's kind of like a sensory receptor, but that's it. It has no reproductive organs. So
it's a big old piece of bacteria then.
How does it reproduce? Well, reproductive cells just kind of come out of its body. Then they fertilize each other in the water and become babies with no mouths who apparently don't eat. So what does Xenoturbella have? A hole. One hole in its stomach, if you can call it that, where food goes in and waste comes out. They were discovered off the coast of Sweden, but I think they're from outer space. And you can follow me for more interesting videos.
Hey, you learn something new every day, don't you?
This is the closest thing.
Fact you didn't know. Everyone starts out as a female. See, fellas, when you're in the womb, your Y chromosome doesn't show up until 5 to 6 weeks later. So you really don't become a dude until 5 to 6 weeks in your mom's belly. Why do you think we have titties that we never use? So yeah, I hope you have fun knowing that you were a girl once. This is a weird fact you didn't know.
A bottle on the barrel of a gun. Most people think it will work as a silencer, but that's not exactly what would happen. You see, when the gun fires, the high pressure gas is
Oh, really? So the movies were lying to me?
explode out of the barrel, tearing the bottle apart and making a loud noise. That's why a real silencer is made of steel and has a series of compartments that allow the gases to expand and cool, significantly reducing the sound of the shot. They equipped astronauts with a special weapon that had 2 shotgun barrels, a rifle barrel, and even a detachable machete built into the stock. Now, you might think they did this so the astronauts could fight off aliens, but that's not actually true. You see, when their capsule returned to Earth, it often ended up deep in the wilderness, so they gave them this weapon to protect themselves from wild animals while the rescue team searched for them.
Y'all believe that? Y'all really believe that?
If soldiers tied their shoelaces on the outside, their feet often got stuck or caught on wires. To solve this, stormtroopers started tucking their laces inside their boots instead. You see, this way they could move stealthily and slip past traps and tripwires without making a sound. And over time, this practice became widespread throughout the army.
Startling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 5. Despite if you're using incognito mode, Wi-Fi routers actually keep logs of what websites you visit, and the owner of the router can check this whenever they want. So hopefully you don't have anything to hide. A woman in Russia had a shit ton of twins, triplets, and quadruplets with the same man, totaling to 69 children.
Damn. They holy shit. Holy shit.
Nice. Tarantulas taste like shrimp. According to some cannibals, the most delicious part of the human body is the eyeball, and they especially like.
I don't think we need to know that. I don't think we needed to know that, but hey.
Licking them. The skin on your lips is the same skin that's on your butthole.
Okay, so this is the 3rd video about buttholes. What's going on? What's going on, man?
Dolphins sometimes bite off the head of a fish and masturbate into the decapitated body.
My guy.
A bubble caused by false vacuum decay could be growing through our universe right now, destroying everything it touches. And we would have no idea because it travels at the speed of light. 2020, please no. Blood-curdling.
Weird human body facts that I can guarantee you didn't know. There are small traces of gold in your toenails. We mostly breathe out of one nostril at a time, and the dominant nostril...
Yeah, hold up. I'll do that later.
Switches every hour or so. Men, you can't flex your dicks without squeezing your butthole. Follow my Twitter.
4 times. 4 times.
You motherfuckers, I'm funny.
Facts you didn't know 5 minutes ago. 1. Deep within Earth's core, there's enough gold to coat the entire planet's surface with a layer half a meter thick. 2. If all the DNA in your body was uncoiled, it would stretch over 10 billion miles, far enough to reach Pluto and back. 3. What we call shooting stars are actually tiny dust particles burning up in Earth.
I just remember something. That's why I used to hear a saying. That's why our DNA's in the stars. It just clicked to my head, y'all. Someone used to say that. That's why your DNA's in the stars. Wow. I just had a moment, y'all. I just had a moment.
Earth's atmosphere, traveling at incredible speeds. 4. Octopuses have 3 hearts, but 2 stop beating when they swim, making them true anomalies of nature. 5. Your brain, even while resting, generates enough electricity to power a small LED light. 6. In space, tears don't fall. They form floating spheres due to zero gravity, making crying in orbit truly unique. 7. Each zebra's stripes are as unique as human fingerprints, and their patterns confuse predators in the wild. 8. A single tablespoon of seawater contains more microscopic organisms than there are humans on Earth. 9. Commercial airplanes travel fast enough to circle the Earth in about 45 hours, provided they don't stop. 10. Lightning strikes Earth 8 million times a day, and each bolt is 5 times hotter than the sun's surface. Plus, just one contains enough energy to toast 100,000 slices of bread. Bet you'll never see the world the same way again.
I know for some reason. Most Koreans have a genetic mutation called ABCC11, which makes their sweat odorless. If you ate a polar bear's liver, you would literally die because there's way too much vitamin A for a human to handle. If you ever find yourself seeing an anteater doing this silly T-pose, get the fuck away, because that is their way of warning you that they're about to claw your eyes out. On average, around 2,195 children die from diarrhea every single day. That is more than AIDS, measles, and malaria combined. Around 95% of whale semen is dumped into the ocean during mating season. You actually have a lot more in common with gorillas than you think. For instance, the average length of a gorilla's schlong is 2 inches. Weird ass facts that.
Okay, that last part, cover your ears, kids.
Morbid Facts, Part 709. YouTuber Benjamin Bennett built a cult following with his eerie project Sitting and Smiling. Hundreds of 4-hour videos where he sits cross-legged, staring at the camera with a fixed grin, never moving or speaking. What starts as harmless quickly turns unsettling, the smile morphing into something more of a mask. His commitment over the years has produced some rather disturbing moments. In one recording, someone apparently tries to break into his home, but Bennett continues to grin without moving, sending the intruder fleeing in fear. In another, he loses control of his bladder midstream but still doesn't break character, letting the accident happen as though it were irrelevant to the ritual. In perhaps the most disturbing case, he allegedly kept filming while his grandmother lay dying in the next room, the fixed smile never faltering even as tragedy was unfolding in his own home. He's never once broken character or explained why he does this, leaving behind thousands of hours of unsettling footage that's disturbed viewers online for years.
Surprising facts about your everyday life that you probably don't know. Number 3. If your eyes turn red while swimming in the pool, it's because of urine in the water. In fact, there's a chemical reaction.
What? I don't know. What? I've swam in so many pools and exited so many pools with my eyes red. And I've been told every single time that it's because of chlorine. To the point I stopped asking. I don't want to believe this.
Reaction between the urine and the chlorine in the water. This chemical reaction forms chloramines, which can irritate the eyes and cause redness. Keep this in mind the next time you go swimming. Number 2. When someone farts in front of you, you could potentially inhale poop particles filled with bacteria.
That I can say is mostly real, because there was a case I seen on YouTube where a woman died from her husband farting. It was due to it being over time. If I remember right, dude used to keep farting, right? And she used to go under the blanket every single night. And over time, she chose the wrong time to go underneath the blanket one night when he farted, and she passed away. If you do not believe me, go and search it up. This Shit like this can be real.
These particles actually contain bacteria from the gut. The amount of bacteria inhaled in such situations doesn't pose a significant health risk, unless the person releasing the fart has a contagious bacterial intestinal infection. Before revealing the number one, remember to subscribe and like the video. Number one, the bacteria present on the human body can be used to make cheese. For example, lactobacillus is a species of bacteria that can be used in cheese making. And guess what? These bacteria are present in the human digestive system, specifically in the gut and the female reproductive system. Isn't that crazy? So, which fact surprised you?
My good people, so that's gonna do it for this one, man. There was a lot to unpack in this one, but I did learn a few things. I really hope that y'all learned something as well. But y'all already know, man. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm talking to you that's watching that's not subscribed as yet. It is free. All right. Y'all don't forget to hit me up on Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. Until another video, y'all already know. Deuces.